Welcome to another episode of the Japan Reach podcast. Embark on an exciting journey through the heart of Japan, its vibrant culture, fascinating traditions, and the stories that make it truly extraordinary. Our team has traveled far and wide across Japan, immersing ourselves in its rich culture and connecting with its incredible people. Now we're bringing those unforgettable experiences straight to you. From hidden gems to captivating guest stories, each episode dives into what makes Japan unique and inspiring. So we are still talking about religion in Japan, and this is the third episode on the topic. Episode 20 was a general discussion about religion. 21 covered Shinto, and today we're going to take a look at Buddhism. Just to set the scene, Buddhism isn't native to Japan. It originated in India and made its way eastward before eventually crossing the Sea of Japan. Buddhism has been a big part of Japan's spiritual life, culture, and politics. Since it arrived in the 6th century, it has changed and adapted over time, sometimes supported by the government, sometimes shaped by new ideas and traditions. In this episode, we'll go over the main beliefs of Buddhism in Japan, how it influenced politics, and how it connects with other religions like Shinto and Christianity. Let's get started. Buddhism, at its core, is based on the teachings of the Buddha, who taught a path toward liberation from suffering. Central to Buddhist thought are the Four Noble Truths. Suffering exists. It exists because we have desires. There is a place where suffering doesn't exist, nirvana. And there is a path you can take to end suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. When Buddhism entered Japan, it came primarily through China and Korea, carrying with it a mixture of Mahayana Buddhism, which emphasizes compassion and the possibility of enlightenment for all beings. Over time, Japan developed several new flavors of Buddhist traditions, kind of like denominations in Christianity, including Pure Land Buddhism, which stresses faith in Amida Buddha and rebirth in a blissful paradise, kind of like heaven, Zen Buddhism, which emphasizes meditation, direct insight, and the discipline of mind and body, Nichiren Buddhism, which teaches the exclusive truth of the Lotus Sutra, a Buddhist text, and encourages Buddhist chanting as the path to enlightenment. Shingon and Tendai schools of Buddhism have elaborate rituals, cosmologies, and philosophical depth. Most Japanese Buddhist traditions believe in karma and rebirth, that everything changes and doesn't last forever, and that people can escape suffering by living a good life, meditating, and gaining wisdom. Buddhism came to Japan in the mid-6th century, first through the Korean kingdom of Baekje and later from China. At first it focused on winning support from the Japanese imperial court. Its arrival caused debate as it challenged Shinto, Japan's native religion, which is based on nature and ancestor spirits called kami. The acceptance of Buddhism became a political struggle. The Soga clan supported it, seeing it as a way to gain power and status. But the Mononobe and Nakatomi clans, who favored Shinto, opposed it. In the end, the Soga clan won, and Buddhism began to grow with support from the imperial court. A few hundred years later, Buddhism had become closely tied to the government. Emperor Shomu promoted it to help unite the country and protect it spiritually. He ordered the building of the giant Todaiji temple in Nara, which houses a massive 15-meter-tall bronze Buddha statue. He also set up temples across the country. At this time, Buddhist monks gained a lot of political power, and temples became rich and owned land. But this close connection between religion and politics led to corruption and growing public criticism, which later inspired calls to reform. And then there was the medieval transformation and popularization. Just a note, up until the Heian period, 794 to 1185, Buddhism in Japan was mostly practiced by the imperial family and the upper classes. It was deeply tied to politics and power. Emperors and nobles used Buddhism to strengthen their rule, often blending religious beliefs with courtly culture and state affairs. During this time, new schools of Buddhism like Tendai and Shogun rose to prominence. These forms were rich in esoteric rituals, secret teachings, and powerful symbols called mandalas. They offered a mystical path to enlightenment, but their complexity and exclusivity meant they were mostly reserved for the elite. For ordinary people, these practices were really distant and hard to relate to. But Japan was changing. As the country entered the Kamakura period, 1185 to 1333, old power structures shifted and a new class, the samurai, came to the forefront. Along with these changes came a transformation in Buddhism itself. Zen Buddhism, with its emphasis on meditation, simplicity, and self-discipline, resonated deeply with the samurai class. Its focus on inner strength and personal insight matched their warrior ethos. At the same time, other reformers like Honen and Shinran and Nichiren offered simpler, more heartfelt approaches to salvation based on faith, chanting, and devotion rather than complex rituals or strict monastic rules. These movements brought Buddhism out of the palace and into the streets. For the first time, farmers, merchants, and everyday people could find meaning in Buddhist teachings. It was no longer just a religion for the powerful. This was the religious landscape of Japan when Christianity entered the picture. In 1549, Francis Xavier, a Jesuit missionary, brought Christianity to Kyushu, and at first the new religion was widely welcomed, particularly by daimyo, feudal lords, especially in the south and west, where it offered political alliances and access to European trade. Christianity spread quickly with tens of thousands of converts within just a few decades. However, the relationship between Christianity and Buddhism was fraught from the start. Many Buddhist monks and scholars viewed Christianity as a threat to traditional belief systems. Christian missionaries, in turn, were often openly critical of Buddhism, denouncing its temples, images, and cosmologies as idolatrous. By the late 16th century, political leaders such as Totoyami Hideyoshi and later Tokugawa Ieyasu began to see Christianity as a destabilizing foreign influence, particularly given its link to European colonial powers like Spain and Portugal. In contrast, Buddhism, despite its foreign origins, had become thoroughly integrated into Japanese society. In the early Edo period, 1600 to 1868, the Tokugawa shogunate enacted strict policies to suppress Christianity, banning it outright and persecuting its followers. During this time, Buddhism was enlisted by the state to help enforce religious orthodoxy. The government implemented the Danka system, requiring all households to register with a local Buddhist temple and obtain certification of non-Christian status. This effectively transformed Buddhist temples into instruments of surveillance and social control. Ironically, while Buddhism had once been targeted as a foreign religion, it now served as a bulwark against another foreign faith. Then came the Meiji Restoration. The Meiji Restoration of 1868 marked another major turning point. In its push to modernize and promote state Shinto as a unifying ideology, the government sought to separate Shinto from Buddhism, a policy known as Shinbutsu Bunrai. Temples were destroyed, monks were defrocked, and Buddhism lost much of its state support. Yet Buddhism survived. In the 20th century, it diversified once again. New religious movements such as Soka Gakkai, rooted in Nichiren Buddhism, attracted large lay following and engaged in political activism. Zen Buddhism found a global audience, influencing art, psychology, and mindful practices. Despite its long history in Japan, Buddhism is on the decline, with 25,000 temples of 77,000 set to close in the next couple of decades. Problematically, it is often depicted as a religion of funerals, and while the outward traditions are still quite strong, adherence to faith as a whole has waned. Still, the religion's philosophical and cultural legacy continues to shape Japan's identity and values. There is a lot of history here, and I have just barely scraped the surface. But I hope you can see that Buddhism has a long history in Japan, and it has changed over the centuries into a unique Japanese adaptation, from its early conflicts with Shinto to its alliance with the state, and from its clashes with Christianity to its quiet endurance and decline in the modern era. Japanese Buddhism reflects the nation's shifting cultural, political, and spiritual landscapes. I hope you enjoyed this quick review of Japanese Buddhism. If you liked this episode, please follow us for more stories about amazing Japan. You can also comment below if you have a topic you would like us to cover. Hope to see you next time. God bless and Jamata.